ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Fifth canto, the island of Jambudvip, text 28. Please repeat. Yadi. Can you take it off? Yes. Atra. Naha. Svarga. Sukhavasheshitam. Svishtasya. Suktasya, Kritasya, Shobhanam, Tena Janabhe, Smritimaj, Janma, Naha, Syad, Varshe, Harir, Yadbhajatam, Sham, Tanoti, Yadyatra nasvarga sukha vasheshitam. Yadyatra nasvarga sukha vasheshitam. Svishtasya shuktasya kritasya shobhanam. Svishtasya shuktasya kritasya shobhanam. Tena janabhe smritimash janmanasyat. Tena janabhe smritimash janmanasyat. Janmanasyat Varshe Harir Yat Bhajatam Samtanoti. Varshe Harir Yat Bhajatam Samtanoti. Yadyatra Nasvarga Sukha Vasheshitam. Shvitasya suktasya kritasya shobhanam. Tena janabhe smritimajanmanasyat. Varshe hariryat bhajatam samtanoti. Please chant.
Yadyatra nasvarga sukha vashishitam.
Svishtasya suktasya kritasya shobhanam. Tina janabhe smritamad janmanah syat.
Nabhe smritimash janmanasyad.
Varshe harih yad bhajatam shantanoti.
Varshe harir yad bhajatam shamatanoti. Vashishitam. Svishtasya suktasya kritasya shobhanam. Tena janabe smritirmash janmanasyad. Varshe harir yad bhajatam shamtanoti. Yadyatra nasvarga sukha vashishitam. Shvistasya shuktasya kritasya shobhanam. Dena janabhe smritirmash janmanasyad. Varshe harir yad bhajatam shamtanoti. Is there any words that you can see in this verse that you have seen before? That you know what it means? Any of these Sanskrit words? It's always an opportunity to learn a few key words. Can you see any word that you're being reminded of? That you know the translation? No? For example, the word svarga. Do you know what that means? Svarga? Svargaloka? What does that mean?
Paradise.
Heavenly planets, yeah. Svarga is Bur, where is earth. Bhuvar, which is between Svarga and Bur. Like semi-demigods, like in between demigods and human beings. And then we have Svargaloka, demigod kingdom, Indra, and the demigods. In Greek philosophy, it's the pantheon, like the different main demigods. Actually, most of the demigods. And then further up, there's another 4 planetary system, including Brahmaloka, but they're way beyond Svargaloka. Bur, Bhuvar, Sva, they're pretty close together in the universe still. But then the other living entities, Maharloka, Siddhaloka, Tapoloka, Brahmaloka, they're very distant. But they're there. And Svarga is, yes, more or less heavenly. Okay, what else? Any other word you can see there? Come on. There's a pretty obvious word there. Pretty obvious. Name of Krishna.
Harir.
Yes. Harir. So Hari means the one who? You know what the name Hari means? In English, Harry. Name Harry. George Harrison, right? The name Hari is in there. So you get some benefit for saying these names. Yes. Hari means the one who takes away. Right? Hari Gaura Hari, like that, the one who takes away our material desires. So one name of Krishna is Hari. And then, anything else? Janma. Somebody knows what Janma means? Janma. It's a famous verse in Bhagavad Gita. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Prabhupada cites it a lot. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. If I translate it, you will immediately remember. Janma, birth. Right? Birth. Janma. Mrityu. Like, Mrityu?
Like time?
Death.
Yes.
Death. Like we have the Charan Amrit. Right? Charana means lotus. Or not 100% sure, but Amrit means immortal. So we have, of course, in Latin, like Spanish, Latin languages, you have muerte, le mort in French, right? Mort. So it seems like the Latin is very close to Sanskrit, mrityu, mort. I don't know the Latin word for death, but it must be something with M. Mort, muerte. So mrita means, or mrityu means death, and amrit means immortal. The word, the syllable a, or the letter a means no, or opposite. So you have Chaitanya Charitamrit, the immortal nectar. Yes, the immortal character. Chaitanya Charitamrita means the immortal character of the living entity. Chaitanya means living entity. Chitta, consciousness, chitta. And yes, chitta, Chaitanya. So Chaitanya means actually living entity. Charita, character. So again, charita, character. It seems like Sanskrit and Latin are very much, I can't remember the Latin name for character, but it's something like character. Yes, it's very similar to charita from the Sanskrit. So Chaitanya, the living entity, the character, charita of the living entity, and then Amrit, the immortal, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the immortal character of the living entity. So what's that? Being a servant. Right? So Chaitanya Charitamrita is all about service. Yes, we're all servants, to teach us how to become perfect servants. Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here too we have Janma, birth, Mrityu, Jara. Somebody knows what's Jara? You're still young, huh? That's why. Jara, old age. There's a witch which was called Jara, and she fit together two pieces of a small baby. So the name of that baby became, they were separate and she put them together, so he became Jarasandh, famous demon in the Krishna pastimes, Jarasandh. So the witch was called Jara. So Jara is a old age. Vyadi. Vyadi. What do we have? Birth, death, old age. What does Prabhupada say in his books? These four. Disease, yeah. This ease, which causes us this ease. We're at ease, and then suddenly it's this ease, right? So we become diseased. So, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Birth, death, old age, disease. It's good to learn these Sanskrit terms and then analyze them a little bit more. I don't know about Vyadi exactly, but you would be surprised sometimes analyzing these words and the root, the etymology of these words, Vyadi, what they actually mean. Adi, I know, means the original. So Vya, I don't know exactly what, but Vyadi, I don't know if Vyadi comes from Adi, has something to do with Adi, the original. But you will, just as an example, you can analyze these words and actually understand much deeper and profoundly the meaning of the Sanskrit words and of the words even today. Character, like we have the word atmosphere, right? Atma means the living entity, and then in Latin it's atmos. So you can't deny that actually Latin is very close to the Sanskrit language, right? And then we have the atmosphere, the surrounding of the living entity, of the soul. So we have the atmosphere. So we sense a certain atmosphere when we're around certain people. They have a certain atmosphere, something, a vibration that surrounds their being, right? Yes, this is actually correct. The soul is covered by ego, intelligence, mind, and then the 5 gross elements. So we feel the atmosphere, the surrounding of the soul. Atmosphere, yes. So the same way we have these words, Mrityu, Janma, and the more we analyze them, the more we get enlightened, we actually understand their deeper meaning. So which one is the worst of the 4? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Which one is the worst? Yes. Why? Because birth includes the other 3. When you take birth, then automatically death, old age, disease is there. So if you can avoid birth, you're good. You're done. So that's the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Ante Narayana Smritir, at the end of your life, you want to remember Krishna, Narayan. Then you avoid birth, you're good. You're good to go. You've learned your lesson in the material world. Okay, please repeat. Yadi, if, atra, in this heavenly planet, naha, of us, Svarga Sukha Avasheshitam, whatever remains after the enjoyment of heavenly happiness, Suishtasya, of a perfect sacrifice, Suuktasya, of diligently studying the Vedic literature, Kritasya, of having performed a kind act. Shobhanam, the resultant actions. Tena, by such a resultant action. Ajanabhe, in the land of Bharatavarsha. Smritimad Janma, a birth enabling one to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is a Smriti Madhyanma, a birth enabling one to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. How good is that? If you take such a birth. Naha, of us. Syat, let there be. Varshe, in the land. Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yat, wherein. Bhajatam, of the devotees. Shamtanoti, expands the auspiciousness. Okay, so let's see what the translation is. We are now living in the heavenly planets, undoubtedly as a result of our having performed ritualistic ceremonies, pious activities and yagyas, and having studied the Vedas. However, our lives here will one day be finished. We pray that at that time, if any merit remains from our pious activities, we may again take birth in Bharatvarsha as human beings able to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord is so kind that he personally comes to the land of Bharatvarsha and expands the good fortune of its people. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is certainly as a result of pious activities that one takes birth in the heavenly planets. But from those planets, one must nevertheless come down again to earth, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Kshine punye martya lokam vichanti. See, you have the same word again, martya. Martya, or similar to mrityu, which means you have to come down to the planet of death, like the earthly planet. Kshine punye martya lokam vichanti. Even the demigods must return to earth to work like ordinary men when the results of their pious activities expire. Nevertheless, the demigods desire to come to the land of Bharatvarsha, if even a small portion of the merits of their pious activities remains. In other words, to take birth in Bharatvarsha, one must perform more pious activities than the demigods. In Bharatvarsha, one is naturally Krishna conscious, and if one further cultivates his Krishna consciousness by the grace of Krishna, he certainly expands his good fortune by becoming perfect in Krishna consciousness and very easily going back home, back to Godhead. In many other places in the Vedic literature, it is found that even the demigods want to come to this land of Bharatvarsha. A foolish person may desire to be promoted to the heavenly planets as a result of his pious activities, but even the demigods from the heavenly planets want to come to Bharatvarsha and achieve bodies that may be very easily used to cultivate Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu repeatedly says, Brahma Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusya Janma Jar Janma Sartaka Kari Kara Para Upakar. A human being born in the land of Bharatvarsha has the special prerogative to develop Krishna consciousness. Therefore, those already born in Bharatvarsha should take lessons from the Shastras and Guru and should fully take advantage of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in order to be fully equipped with Krishna consciousness. By taking full advantage of Krishna consciousness, one goes back home, back to Godhead, Yanti Madhyajino Pimam. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore spreading this facility to human society by opening many centers all over the world so that people may associate with the pure devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, understand the signs of Krishna consciousness, and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. Yadyatra nasvarga sukha vasheshitam svitasya shuktasya kritasya shobhanam tenachana bhesmitir majyanma nasyat varshehariryat bhajatam chamtanoti. We are now living in the heavenly planets undoubtedly as a result of our having performed ritualistic ceremonies, pious activities and yagyas, and having studied the Vedas. However, our lives here will one day be finished. We pray that at that time, if any merit remains from our pious activities, we may again take birth in Bharatvarsha as human beings able to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord is so kind that he personally comes to the land of Bharatvarsha and expands the good fortune of its people. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurumilitamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So Shukadev Goswami is basically saying and confirming what's in Bhagavad Gita, that those who actually take birth on the earth planet are not, that those are actually more fortunate than the demigods, especially if you're born in India. Of course, Bharatavarsha actually refers to the wider India, actually to the whole planet. Bharata was the name of the king of the earth planet. So Bharatavarsha is actually means the earth planet, not just India. But Krishna at the same time mainly appeared in India. His devotees, of course, go all over the planet, but he himself basically appeared mainly in India. As Krishna, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so on. So many incarnations have taken birth in that tract of land, which is the originals, according to the Bhagavatam, where the capital of the whole world was, like Hastinapur, and before that Ayodhya, where the kings would live who would reign the whole planet, not just India or some tract of land. No, actually the whole planet. So one interesting fact here in the purport is that Srila Prabhupada is actually the one who went outside India and is claiming all of Bharatavarsha back to become Krishna conscious again. It used to be like the king was so Krishna conscious, he had the whole planet, like Parikshit Maharaj. If you study, the whole planet he had under his control, and Prabhupada says in the first canto there was nobody breaking any of the principles, the four regulative principles on the whole planet. Imagine how powerful of a king must you be that you can secure or make sure that the whole planet, there's nobody breaking the four regulative principles. It's like kind of unimaginable. How's that possible? Today you go just one block and it's the four regulative principles are broken, right? I mean, I remember in Chile we were in the middle of the city, similar to here, but even more in the middle. And literally within one block, you had hotels and gaming saloons and supermarkets selling meat and liquor shop. Four regulative principles, just one block. Yeah, it's normal, right? It's normal these days. But imagine there was one king and he would make sure that not one of these regulative principles was broken. That's what Kali said when Maharaj Parikshit met Kali in the, dressed as a king, but actually being a low-class man. And he was going to punish him. And Kali took shelter of his lotus feet and said, kind of Krishna made sure he tricked the king so he couldn't kill him. He took shelter at his lotus feet and said, please give me your shelter. And Parikshit Maharaj was smiling because he could see that by providence, of course by Krishna's will, he could not kill this person now that he had taken. He had taken the last option of getting out of trouble, right? He actually surrendered to the feet of Parikshit Maharaj and said, please give me shelter. Parikshit Maharaj smiled. He said, oh, he did well. He did the right thing, right? I have to give him shelter. So, okay, you be where the four regulative principles are broken. And Kali said, thank you very much, but there's not 1 inch of where you're not controlling. where you're making sure that this is not, the four regulative principles are upheld. I mean, you're making sure that they are upheld. So where shall I go? Very generous, but so Maharaj Parikshit said, okay, wherever there is gold, then you can go there as well. So hypocrisy, degradation is definitely there where fighting, quarrel, hypocrisy, as I said as well, is there where these four regulative principles are not followed. Fighting, yes, war, it immediately comes up. So the real benefit for human society is to go back and purify people from these tendencies to these four irreligious activities. And also where there is gold, Srila Prabhupada explains, or in other words, money. Today, of course, we don't use gold, it's paper or it's a number on the computer these days, but it should be used in Krishna service very strictly and not be spent for sense gratification. Otherwise, Kali manifests like that. So, Srila Prabhupada, the interesting point he's making here is, which is very much applicable to us right at this moment. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore spreading this facility to human society by opening many, many centers all over the world. Jai, Surik Yatra Ki Jai. So we are part of this purport. Right? Prabhupada is saying the Krishna consciousness movement is therefore spreading this facility to human society by opening many, many centers all over the world so that people may associate with the pure devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, understand the signs of Krishna consciousness, and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada said many times that these ISKCON centers are actually non-different from Vrindavan. So the same benefit that we get from being in Vrindavan, in so-called India. Of course, the Dham is not really part of any country. You shouldn't consider the Dham, the holy places, to be part of, a certain country or something. The Dham is transcendental. And if you have purified eyes, you can actually see it. But, yes, so that's therefore ISKCON, or the ISKCON temples, where we worship the deities and we do practice bhakti yoga, are actually non-different from Vrindavan. There's no difference. Which is very amazing that we have the opportunity to be part of Vrindavan. In so many places all over the planet, we have the opportunity to actually be in Vrindavan and to benefit. And Prabhupada makes the point that the real benefit of going to Vrindavan is to listen to the saints, to the pure devotees. Like in the other day I gave class, I explained that according to Prabhupada's definition, not just Prabhupada's definition, but the Shastra's definition is that when you fully engaged, 100% engaged in devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whatever he says you're doing, and you're always focusing on pleasing him every little moment, every second of your day, then you are a pure devotee. It's not that you have to be necessarily an Uttama Adhikari Paramahamsa, I don't know what, to be a pure devotee. No. Srila Prabhupada considered his followers in ISKCON in the early days pure devotees because they were doing what he was saying. They were absorbed and fully dedicated to his mission and words. So, like Srila Prabhupada is making the point that Guru actually means the one who repeats the message of the Vedic scriptures. If a small child says, this is a car, it points at the car and says, this is a car, The child doesn't know anything about the car, but because it is repeating, he or she is repeating what it has learned from his father, is speaking the truth. You can't deny it. This is a car. This is a microphone. Right? If a child says this is a microphone, this is the truth, because it is repeating. So if in the early days, Prabhupada took his followers to India, and two of them, Shyamasundar Malati had a little daughter called Saraswati, and she went up to people when they were doing Harinam in the street, and she would say, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the people, watching the devotees. And Srila Prabhupada said, this is Guru. This is Guru. Guru can have many faces because he repeats what he has learned from his Guru, and it's based on Shastra. And if we follow that in 100%, we're engaged 100%, then we are pure devotees. So you come to the Krishna Conscious Temple, and we are repeating the message of Guru and Shastra and Sadhu, and people are benefiting because we are representing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It doesn't have to be that, the big advanced devotees who are, of course, there's different levels, but if you repeat the message as it is, then people will get the benefit. So whoever comes to the Krishna Conscious Temple is a special visitor invited to, to Krishna consciousness. And yes, we should give our association as long as they have actually desire to learn Krishna consciousness. They're not just coming for some material benefit. Of course, still, we give them prasadam and, we try to benefit them. But the real thing is we want to supply information for those who are interested. This is our mission. There's 7 purposes for ISKCON. You study these purposes, and the first one very much emphasizes the systematical distribution of spiritual knowledge. It doesn't even say Krishna in that first purpose of ISKCON, of Srila Prabhupada. It says spiritual knowledge, distribute spiritual knowledge systematically to society at large. So this is our purpose. Things like restaurants and schools and whatever it is, offices and programs, all this, they can organize it. ISKCON in itself is an educational institution to give people the association or the answers to the questions that they can't get answered somewhere else. And we have those answers. And this is our duty. In other words, what Prabhupada really wanted in these Krishna conscious temples is give people to preach, give people the opportunity to hear about Krishna in a bona fide way from pure devotees who are not, going their own conclusions and speculations, but repeat what they have heard from their gurus and put it in. You might use different language, different words, but you're basically saying the same thing at base. This is our duty. The Krishna Conscious Movement is therefore spreading this facility to human society by opening many, many centers all over the world so that people may associate with pure devotees of the Krishna Consciousness Movement, understand the science of Krishna Consciousness, and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. This is a mission statement by Srila Prabhupada right in this purport. Mission statement. And yes, especially the people who are coming who actually want to hear. It's actually, Prabhupada mentions this verse from the Bhagavatam so many times. Actually, I think the verse that is most repeated by Srila Prabhupada is that people who think that the land where they're born in is worshipable and they go to a holy place. I'm not citing the whole entire verse, but they go to a holy place just to take a bath instead of listening to the sadhus, to the devotees, pure devotees who live there. They're no better than a cow or an ass. This is what the verse says. Srila Prabhupada repeats it so many times. So it's like if somebody comes here to the Krishna conscious, to the Hare Krishna temple, just to take a shower. So what's the benefit? Right? What's the benefit of coming to the Hare Krishna temple to take a shower? So people go to these holy places, take bath, and yes, there is some benefit. Of course, you take a shower here, you get a little bit cleaner. Okay, but of course, if you take a bath in a holy river, yes. But it says in comparison to actually receive the pure message from Srimad Bhagavatam, there's no comparison. It takes a long time to take a bath in the holy places to get purified. Whereas you listen once to a sadhu, a pure devotee, you immediately get eternal benefit. Like that. So, in basic words, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing over and over again that we have to learn this science ourselves and know how to give it, the medicine, to the people who are actually having questions. Don't think that, yes, of course, we know in Kali Yuga not many people are interested in this Krishna conscious philosophy. But if you, for example, go out on book distribution, you will actually find when you're connected and you're plug in with Krishna's energy and you're out there in a sincere effort to give people this knowledge, you're detached, you will actually see deep down in their consciousness, actually everybody's interested in Krishna consciousness. Because that's what we are. Originally we are devotees of Krishna. And if your consciousness is deep and your desire is strong, then, and you can quickly go down, break through all these layers of senses, mind, intelligence, and ego, and you hit the soul, you touch the soul by just people looking at you and hearing a few words. If you become an expert in that, you can actually, you will actually see that there's people are actually interested in Krishna consciousness. It's their layers that they say, I'm busy, I have no money, I'm this, I'm that. And so on and so on. Like we have also excuses, somebody comes up to us, can you do this? Oh, Prabhu, this and that. But this is just the layers. Deep down, we actually hanker for deeper connection with Krishna. And this is the only remedy to lust, to our material desires, karma. Yes. So it's our duty to give this deeper knowledge that actually touches the soul to people who come here or go out and give it to them. This is the purpose of our temples, the real purpose of our temples. So in this purport, as a last point, Srila Prabhupada is making a mission statement. It's very much Prabhupada's mood given in this purport, that to go further out of Bharatavarsha, of so-called Bharatavarsha India as we think today, and go into the real Bharatavarsha, which is the whole planet, opening these centers and give people an opportunity to associate with pure devotees. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for the lecture. You mentioned in the beginning that we are naturally Krishna conscious.
We're naturally Krishna conscious, yes.
Yes, but what makes it, when we are, for example, born here, what makes it that we suddenly forget, even if we are born in a Krishna conscious family and we associate with devotees, is it that we are directly Krishna conscious since birth, or?
We're all Krishna conscious originally as a spirit soul, but we have free will. We can choose either the material energy or the spiritual energy. That free will is always there. Even when you're a Paramahamsa, you can still have the free will. Once they asked Srila Prabhupada, Krishna says that when you go back to Godhead, you never come back to the material world. But Prabhupada was making the point, you have always free will, you can always come back. And so the devotee was like, Krishna says this, and you're saying, Prabhupada says, yes, never come back means almost never come back. Yeah. So, it's theoretically possible, but it practically never happens. But you always have free will. Even if you go back now to the spiritual world, Krishna says you never come back to the material world. But theoretically, you always have this free will. What to say of us who are here the first time, been for billions of births? We always have the free will to take up Krishna consciousness or not take it up. To become interested or not to become interested. Doesn't matter. One devotee was saying, well, but don't you have to be in the mode of goodness? Prabhupada says, no, even if you're covered by ignorance, as a human being, you always have free will. This is the value of the human body. You can choose. A drug addict lying in the street, a Harinam party comes by, and he thinks, oh, this is so beautiful music. I want to join these guys. He might be so he has free will. He has the free, Srila Prabhupada is, of course, very encouraging. He told the bums in New York, remember Krishna is the taste of the wine. Yeah, he was starting to give them something to get out, to hold on to their free will. Pretty amazing. I mean, you would say, any psychologist or so-called scientist today would say, what's the benefit of that? Send him to some counselor and, make some analysis and some investigation about his trauma and past and all that, and benefit him. But no, Prabhupada would say, remember the taste of wine is Krishna. So we give even the most ignorant people, Prabhupada would give in a very expert way. Just imagine how expert is that. Tell them that the Krishna is the taste in the wine. Who would do that? This is Prabhupada's preaching. This is what Prabhupada makes so special. He would tell the hippies, as I said last time, you get high when you chant. And he would repeat it, you get high when you chant. You get high. And they thought, oh, we get high when we chant. They would have these kirtans in the morning, 6 o'clock for 45 minutes. Ding, 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 ding. And in the evening sometimes too. And Prabhupada would say, you get high when you chant. So he would trick them into Krishna consciousness. That's what the expert Prabhupada says. An expert devotee, can't remember where in the Bhagavatam, but he says that, of course, it's easier to bring somebody to Krishna consciousness from the mode of goodness. And sometimes the spiritual master, he can, bring somebody from the mode of passion into Krishna consciousness as well, telling them, for example, how to use their money into the service of Krishna and so on. But he says even in the mode of ignorance, you can bring them. An expert spiritual master like Narada Muni, he was telling the hunter, what was Valmiki? He was a terrible hunter, and he said, please don't kill the animals halfway. He was killing the animals halfway. I can't remember, was it Mrigari or the Valmiki, but in any of these cases, Mrigari, but I'm talking about Valmiki in this case. The Ramayana was written by a sage called Valmiki, and he was also a hunter, and he was Narada Muni met him, and he said, well, Narada Muni was telling him that this is very sinful, you're killing these animals. And he said, what shall I do? I'm a hunter, I have to feed a family and so on. So he said, okay, chant the name of God. And the hunter said, I can't chant the name of God, it doesn't just come from my lips. So Narada Muni said, okay, then chant Mara. Mara means kill. Like Mrityu we just had, Mrityu, Mara means kill. Kill, 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 like that. Mara, Mara. Mara, Mara. The hunter said, okay, I can chant that, yes. And he's like, oh, just go on. Mara, 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 Rama, 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 Rama. He was chanting the name of Lord Ram. Mara became Rama. So he became Valmiki Muni. He wrote the Ramayana. The whole story of Lord Ram became revealed in his heart, and he wrote the Ramayana. Because he was chanting Mara, 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 Rama, 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 like that. So even from the lowest ignorance, a pure devotee can actually benefit people by the right trick, right? Narada Muni, Srila Prabhupada very much. We follow in the steps of Narada Muni and all these big preachers who trick people into Krishna consciousness, right? Take this sweet bowl. You go in Harinama, take this cookie. It's very nice. Okay. He eats the cookie. He gets so much benefit. We trick people. Prasadam is our secret weapon. Yes? Prasadam is our secret weapon. We have so many weapons. And if you become expert enough, you can actually, benefit people. What else?
Just another one. But does it mean that at birth we choose them to not be Krishna conscious?
Not just at birth, every moment we choose.
But even if we are trying, even if we are in the temple, why is that we turn our back from Krishna again? Why do we forget?
Bad association. Srila Prabhupada, we have free will. And normally we, there's all this information coming. So if we keep proper association, then we normally stay in the company of devotees. If we appreciate. But we might have some desire in our heart comes up, and we don't want to give it up. And then we look for the association to give us the reason to bloop. As we say in ISKCON, bloop, right? In management, I've seen it so many times. You have the devotee, and then suddenly he comes up with all these weird reasons. This and this happens, this and that happens. But actually, he wanted something from it comes from inside. He wants something different from Krishna, and then he looks for excuses. Oh, this devotee told me this. Oh, this devotee treated me badly. No, it's because you want to enjoy and get some enjoyment out there, and you're just looking for a cheap reason. And they start fighting with devotees, insulting devotees, offending devotees. But that's our free will, which comes from inside. We have these desires. Prabhupada says because of our past, they spring up again in our heart. And then we look for reasons to justify. You wouldn't believe all the reasons I've heard, especially in South America, so devotees can just run away and have a relationship, looking for a relationship, illicit, whatever it is. But they give so many reasons. Oh, my mother this, my family that, this devotee did this, I don't agree with ISKCON this, GBC said that, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. So many reasons. And then they run away. Then you see them later. So it's really our heart. There might be so much talking going on, but actually it comes from our heart. Yes, we look at the wrong association. So association is always very important. You have these desires in your heart, you always have the opportunity to say no. Okay, I'm not going to listen to this now. I'm going to listen to Maharaj who's giving class, or whoever, this devotee who's telling me this. You can always correct yourself. But the problem is, do you want to be humble? To give up your own plan? Your own justification, whatever comes up in your mind, are you willing to give that up and say this is nonsense? And surrender and say, Prabhupada said we should do this, we should get up early in the morning, we should chant, we should dance, we should sing, we should learn. So much to do. But no, we say, I don't want that. I don't want to go back to the spiritual world yet. Maybe later. Maybe later. Then suddenly the market is closed. You go to the market, there's a famous word, Prabhupada, not in this connection, but Prabhupada in other connections gave this example that, the market opens at 6 in the morning, So the woman, she dresses herself and makes makeup, right? And by the time she's finished with the makeup and going to the market is closed. It's 1 o'clock, right? Or 12 o'clock. These markets, farmers markets, they close at 11, 12. By the time, so the same, we are so busy in our lives and this and that, running after the money, running after this, running after that, then suddenly the market is closed. We're getting old, we're 60, 70, and we haven't chanted sufficiently to make it in this lifetime. Yes, maybe later, Don't think like, I tell you, that the years go by like this. Now you're in your 20s, suddenly you're in your 50s. It goes quick. Don't say, when I'm older, then I'm going to chant my 16 rounds. Don't do that. Not good policy. Make an arrangement in your life to do it, to be constant. Like sometimes there's I say that as a last point, but I think that the most, as a grihasta, sometimes you can't. You have to do this and do that, and kids this, kids that. Sometimes you can't chant all your rounds, but Prabhupada says if you can't chant your rounds, you have to immediately recover them the next day. And as a grihastas, I know by myself, sometimes it's, you're working and this and that and family duties. And I always make sure, I always chant my rounds, but many times I had to recover the next day. I think that the most I've chanted in one day is 56 rounds, recovering 2 days, because 2.5 days I had to recover. I chanted the whole day. Recover. But you have to recover as soon as possible. Prabhupada says, if it's for some reason you can't finish your rounds. So, don't get slack. Hare Krishna. Haribol.
Temple's the best places to chant 16 rounds. You stand up, come to temple room, finish your round.
I wanted to ask you, I need you and Guru Nishta and what's her name? And Albina in the office. If I could, 9:30?
9.
So you can translate. I want to ask Guru Nishta something.
Okay.
Okay.
But you must understand that I'm not translator.
9:30.
Last I understand maybe 20%, maybe 30.
No, pray in the beginning that
When
you
you
can ask the question.
Speak, I understand only
Only
1 of 3 parts. It's the best.
Okay.
If easy language for community, it's not problem for me, but class, it's a hard. If you have
Yesterday you were on the list for the evening. Is it hard for you to do the evening, the night front kitchen?
No.
You were on the list.
Yes, and yesterday I could do, and today.
But yesterday wasn't done, I think. There was still.
I did it yesterday. But if you could, because on Saturday nobody is on the list for the Maha transfer, And if you can do that, and then I can do the
You
noon.
can come to
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
and see.
Yeah.